Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
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 Hello and welcome to the program Agriculture on the Move. I am Phillip Sydney. With me in studio is the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Food Production, Fisheries and Rural Development, Mr. Hubert Emmanuel. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you.
Recently, there was a meeting held with poultry farmers on Island. And could you give us why was this meeting propelled?
Well, there's some history to this meeting. You will recall that sometime in October of 2012, there was a situation where feed prices were going up. And farmers groups called upon the ministry for assistance because it looked likely that a number of farms would go under because of the rising cost of feed. The ministry then, in discussion with the Ministry of Finance, we agreed to reprioritize some of our funds, redirect some of our funds for other projects in a bid to assist farmers to cushion the impact of the rising cost of feed. And following that, we had said to the farmers at the end of the period would meet again to assess the situation, to see where we were. Hopefully, we were hoping that prices would have gone back down, and so we would have seen where we were. But the meeting on Monday was held primarily to assess where we were, the impact of the rising costs, the impact of the government program of assistance, to see if we were able to cushion any kind of blows to the farmers in terms of the cost. And also, we wanted to find a way forward because whatever we did was short term. And so it was necessary for us to sit again, discuss, and then to come up with a plan for a more sustainable plan to go forward with the industry.
What were the sort of constraints that were brought to the table by the farmers?
Well, farmers, both broiler farmers, you're talking about a 6-week cycle, whereby, every 6 weeks you produce a batch of birds. You need feed for that 6-week period. And if at any one time you're short of feed, the kind of losses you could incur, because if your birds are starved for a considerable amount of time, you will not get the kind of weight gain. And so all of that will be losses to the farmers. Some farmers did suffer from that. Others had to be struggling with all kind of ration in order for them to keep the birds alive because of the whole question of the high price of feed and general shortage of feed also. Other challenges faced is that some farmers, without the government assistance, would have been in deficit because after they had to pay for the chicks, pay for the feed and the labor costs, at the end of the day, whatever they sell, and with all that's happening, there was no price increase on poultry. So farmers suffered some losses, but however, because of the assistance government gave, it was able to cushion that impact to a certain extent.
So at the end of the day, where are we at with the food shortages that normally caused the problem with the farmers?
Well, it has not changed drastically. We understood that on the world market, the price of grain is going down again or is leveling out to a certain level. However, the impact is not felt here yet. It's going to take about 2-3 months before the impact is felt in Saint Lucia. One of the things we know for a fact right now, farmers are in limbo, not knowing should I go and invest more into another batch of birds, not knowing what will happen. As a ministry, we are unable to make any announcements actually as to what we can do. But we are working on several fronts, I could tell you. One of the major areas we are working in is to try to reduce the cost of feed. Now, we do not have a factory down here. We do not have any special consideration from any suppliers out there. However, what we believe, and we met the farmers on that, is if we could come together as an island, as opposed to 15, 20 persons importing feed from 15, 20 different suppliers. If we come together and say Saint Lucia's need for feed is 40 containers per month of various varieties and whatever. If we could approach a supplier and say, look, one entity wants 40 containers a month for Saint Lucia, we believe we could get volume discount. All right, that's one way. And then secondly, the whole question of shipping, because apart from the cost of feed, because of rising cost of fuel also, the cost of feed, transportation is very high. So again, if we approach a shipping agent and say, as opposed to saying, I have 2 containers a month, each person approaching individually, if we approach as one entity and say, we have 40 containers this month, what is it that you could offer us for that? And they will come down at various times. We don't expect all to come down one time, but it's coming down at various times. If we want 40 containers a month, we believe we will get volume discounts also. Now, with all these discounts, we believe if we could pass the volume discount in terms of the purchase of the feed and that of the shipping could be passed over to the farmers, that could relate to $2-3 per bag reduction. That is one way of doing it. And we believe also the fact that one entity is bringing everything will have a standard price. Because right now, with 5 different persons bringing, they are quoted different prices. So farmer X will go to supplier A. Supplier A will sell to him today at $20. Tomorrow when he goes, it's at $22 based on where it's coming from. So we try to standardize that whole thing.
But what's the formula? Is it going to be the Ministry of Agriculture will take the lead in maybe looking at an entity like a marketing board to actually bring in the feed and then distribute it?
Well, it's surprising to say mostly all the importers of feed, they have come together and they agree with the ministry that one entity should do that. We're exploring several options. Should we rally being one importer and what kind of control levels we'll have on that? Or should we go to the marketing board? Now, in government's pronouncement earlier on, government looked at one marketing infrastructure to handle a number of things. We believe that the marketing board concept is the right entity to carry out that kind of mandate from the government. However, the marketing board, as you know, is not fully functional the way we would like it to be. However, for the purpose of ordering the feed, we are looking at that entity in particular to go into that such arrangement. I must tell you that all is not done yet because right now they are into negotiations. The marketing board have met with shippers and now they are waiting a final price from 2 or 3 of the suppliers. And so hopefully we'll know exactly where we stand from there.
When it comes to eggs, also that was some concern on ground. And of course, marketing board was also identified to assist in the storage of eggs, etc. Where is that at this point?
I'm disappointed with where we are today, seeing that we started that thing a couple of years ago, procure all the necessary equipment. We fast-tracked the building down in Odsa to ensure we had a facility which could handle all of these issues. But there have been some problems that we didn't envisage. And the biggest problem today is that farmers have not come together. If we could get farmers coming together and selling under one brand, and that's the whole intention of the candling system that we adopted through the marketing board. Farmers come together, we sell one brand, a Saint Lucia brand of eggs that is candled, so you know it is safe. It may cost a little more, but you know you have no health and safety issue there because you know you have a thing that go through the process. And the problem is we have tried to bring farmers together, and I must admit though, the marketing board let farmers down. There was a time when farmers were all willing to rally into the system, but all was not quite ready. I think we may have gone out there before we were quite ready, and so that caused some panic among farmers, and farmers branched back off into the individual dealings with the supermarkets and hotels and everything of that sort. But the ideal situation, in our opinion, is that if farmers would rally under one entity to do all the distribution, all the marketing, all the candling, and the distribution, farmers' only responsibility was to produce good quality products, take it to that center, get paid in a reasonable time, and then they just have to continue that thing. And the marketing board now, who is specializing in marketing, will be able to distribute and market the eggs to the various entities.
Okay, well, hold that point there, PS. We are due for a break. We will be right back.
Locally produced chicken is a favorite of many Saint Lucian consumers. Here is an opportunity to invest wisely. Broiler production is an enterprise with great potential and being promoted by the Ministry of Agriculture. For further information, contact Veterinary and Livestock Services Division at 468-5621.
Welcome back to the program, Agriculture on the Move. I am speaking with the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Food Production, Fisheries and Rural Development concerning livestock industry in Saint Lucia and also specifically to the poultry farmers. Mr. Pierce, do you think that the challenges that the ministry have now, do you think that down the road, how soon do you believe that we are able to actually, smoothen those problems?
Well, the truth of the matter is, there is a saying, there is no gain without pain.
Sure.
And I know farmers have felt the pain. As a ministry, we too have felt the pain because, we've been dealing with a number of issues over the past few days. And you'll find out is that every time you think you solve one problem, a new thing pops up, right? In all our planning to get a number of things done, we never cater for that high cost of feed. So when that happens, it sets you back a little, because you now have to take funds you had earmarked to complete the program to now cushion that blow. In other cases, you get other diseases that's propping up, like black sigatoga and other diseases. There's some diseases, some other crops that are propping up every day. So it's difficult for a ministry for us to really achieve all our programs at one time, at one point. But I must tell you that we've made some gains, and we will not back away now. I believe we need to continue, in spite of the pains that's caused to the farmers, to the ministry, ourselves. We will continue because we are at a tipping point, very important tipping point. If we could sustain the difficulties and go through for next few months, I believe we'll start to see the light at the end of the tunnel, because a lot has been done, a lot of investment has been done in agriculture. And I must say, successive governments have seen the need to go back into agriculture and have pumped in some monies. We have other persons like the government of Taiwan who came in and they have put in a fair amount of funds into agriculture. I think if farmers could be patient with us, and the important thing is for us to work together, I believe we'll find a way. We'll find a way out of that. But we don't have all the answers. Neither do the farmers and the farmers organizations do. But I think if we continue to discuss and criticize things constructively, I think we'll find a way to reach our objective.
There was this thing about the feed mill being established in Saint Lucia, and where is that at this point?
Well, this is something we are waiting for anxiously, and that is one of the exciting things that's happening in the livestock sector. There's still a lot of unknowns about the feed mill, but one thing is clear though, in speaking to the principals of the feed mill, we believe that if for some reason we could get any reduction in the price of feed because it's been manufactured down here, and we could maintain a certain quality, because you could get a very good price on certain places in the markets, in terms of feed, but the quality is even more important. Birds are very sensitive. You have layers. If the mix of feed is bad, you could see a reduction in your production. The same thing happened to broilers. If they're used to one set of feed is 6 weeks alone. If in 4 weeks you give them something and the last 2 weeks you give them a bad batch, you could affect your whole profitability. So we are hoping that from all reports, it's a credible company operating currently in Guadeloupe, Martinique, and we believe that if they come with some quality feed at a reasonable price, I believe that could really come through. As far as the readiness is concerned, we had a meeting with the principals in early January. As it stands then now, the equipment ought to have been shipped from France. The equipment is coming from France, supposed to be shipped on the 21st. I'm awaiting some confirmation on that as we stand. And I know that the gentleman who is leading the whole effort right now, he's due back here on the 7th. They have commenced the recruitment of staff. I know they have been doing some recruitment right now of staff. And the plan is for them to start operation in late March. So I would say sometime in April we should know for sure where we stand with that feed mill. In terms of capacity, they are claiming that they have enough capacity to cover our present needs. As we expand though, because we only provided 20-25% of our needs, and the market could be huge. It could be a very good market. What you'll find is as soon as we start to expand a little further in terms of production, in terms of the whole question of feed being produced down here and everything, so we should see what is called the economies of scale should come into play, because you will see a reduction in price because you're using the same equipment, same number of hours to do more. So you should see some reduction in price.
What about our local ingredients? You see there is a way down the road where we can use our cassava and other our staples into that feed meal?
Well, some elements in the ministry have been pushing for that, I could tell you. It's just that sometimes you've got to go step by step into the whole thing. In some other countries, yes, they have used some other products, byproducts of some local ingredients to add, but you have to weigh that out against the nutritional content. Because yes, you might get a cheaper source of raw materials to manufacture your feed, but if the nutritional content is not there, you still will not make profit, because a bird that should be good in 6 weeks may take 7 and 8 and even 9, you know. So we are looking at all of these things. In fact, we are in talks with some friendly governments and some other donor agencies on carrying out some kind of study, a pilot project, to look at the feed a new feed regime for livestock sector in Saint Lucia, using some local ingredients. We have bananas, we have breadfruit, but I know one that has been used in other countries is cassava. Yes. And at the marketing unit of my ministry, we've been discussing that whole issue of trying to grow some cassava for a kind of a pilot project. And not just for animals, but you know, cassava is also a very staple food in many countries. So we will explore with cassava, and very soon, sometime in late February, early March, we are planning to have a kind of a national consultation on the whole livestock sector. And at that time, we'll devote some segments of the consultation to innovative ways of, you know, coming up with new feed regimes and everything. So I believe we're on the right track. It's just that it's taken much longer than people expect. But good things don't come very easily, you know, and I know sometimes you've got to take a little time. So a little patience again, but we are resolute in our minds that we really want to get something tangible for the livestock sector.
To the egg production, there seems to be that idea to sell eggs by weight. Where is that going? Is that something that will come on stream with the marketing board leading the way?
There is that thought has been given some thought actually, as to the best way. We have not found the best way forward. Because there are some eggs, you must agree with me, there are some eggs that are jumbo eggs, and then you have some very small eggs. Now, even part of the reason for changing the packaging material came as a result of that, because shoppers would go into the supermarket and they would try to take all the bigger eggs, you know, and put it in the thing, and in the process, break down some eggs and cause some kind of disruption in the supermarkets and places of that sort. So there's a school of thought that we should look at the eggs in terms of the weight, sell a big one at a higher, sell it by the weight. So in that case, you pay for whatever you have. There's another school of thought that you segment the eggs, and the machine down at Odsa can handle that. So, you know, differentiate the larger eggs from the small ones and from the jumbo. So you could put it and pack it and you sell it at different prices. It's not something we have not concluded on. We are still discussing, and hopefully very soon we will come up with the final thing on that.
Do you think the farmers at this point are together in what the sector wants to do in terms of to achieve its objectives based on the meeting you had with them?
Well, we are clearly not together, but I must say I was satisfied that at the end of Monday's meeting, farmers have now agreed that the only way forward that we need to come together. That was very, I felt good about it, and that's something we were waiting for. You don't want to force things on people. When people see there's a need for something to be done, they normally would embrace it, and it will be done much better, as opposed to if you impose a change on people. But at Monday's meeting, it was very clear that farmer after farmer keeps saying, we need to come together, we need to come together. So much so, we have now formed a small group, working group, who will be having the first meeting sometime next week, made up of hatchers, processors, livestock, poultry, layer farmers, broiler farmers, ministry staff, and other technocrats who will come together to start to form a kind of a blueprint on how we could forge an alliance among everybody. And that is critical. Unless we get such an alliance, we'll just be fighting against ourselves, as against binding ourselves together, and for us to fight against the bigger challenges out there. I think that's where we need to go.
Definitely. We are due for a break. We'll be right back.
Did you know that government provides duty-free incentives on farm machinery, inputs, irrigation systems, boat engines, boats, and many more? Investing in agriculture, a wise choice.
Mr. Pierce, we also spoke about the feed meal, and now we go into the processing plant which is called the abattoir. We have heard about it coming on stream pretty soon. Could you give us an update on that?
Well, I must tell you, we have given several updates on that, and it's not something I like to give too much more at this point in time, because every time you think of you coming on very soon, something comes up, right? But we had a critical point, though. I must tell you, we had a critical point. One of the things that took us a year and a half for us to really come up with, it may sound strange, it took us a year and a half for us to really work with several groups to come up with the right equipments for the facility. After many months of discussions, including the FAO, the government of Brazil, and many others who came to our assistance, we have finally concluded what is best for us in terms of the equipment. As it stands now, a contract has been signed with the two suppliers of the equipment thus far. We're looking at two, so one to do all the major chopping, cutting equipment and everything of that sort, and one to do all the refrigeration. We have gone that way in the interest of saving monies and in the interest of also long-term sustainability, because we are looking at the regional company to do the refrigeration for us. They have a very good record in terms of after sales service. Very good at that. So we identified them and we selected them instead because of their availability to do our after sales service for us. The building itself is practically completed, but you will not see that because we cannot close off everything and put in every single door and put all the tiles and all the things we need to do before the equipment comes in. Because if you do that and the equipment comes in, there'll be some damages and things. So as it stands now, we are looking at a couple of months again. I would say more towards late March, early April, that everything should be installed, including training and everything else. If all goes well, everything being equal, it should be ready by that time. And then we're going to run the plant for a couple of months. And when we are fully satisfied that everything is functional and everything we wanted to do can be achieved there, then we will probably have a grand opening. But one of the things I could tell you, very soon we plan to take the media on a tour of the facility and appraise them where we are. I think it's important for people to know where we are, because when people are not sure, if a lack of information, you are left to speculate. And so that's where we are. It's been a little tardy in the whole implementation of the program. But I think the tardiness we'll gain some benefits, because we could have gone on to do certain things which was not the most desirable. In this process we are learning. It's the first time we are establishing a project of that magnitude in Saint Lucia or anywhere in the Caribbean. In fact, most of the persons who have come around from FAO, from Brazil, they say this is the biggest project in the Caribbean in terms of meat processing. All right, and so it took us a little while, but I think the time that we spent on it will be worth the while, because of the kind of facility we have established and the kind of products we'll be able to process there.
I know you're doing some work on the refurbishment of Bosejo station. Where it's at now, give us an update on that too?
Well, we commenced some of the initial work. We have what is called a livestock repositioning program approved in the budget worth a good few $1 million. In this first financial year, we were not given much. We were given just about $1 million. With that, we have commenced a fair amount of work. We are doing some fencing of the property, because one of the biggest problems at Bosejo have been security. You have good quality breeding stocks inside of there, but things disappear. All right, whether it be through human efforts or animals, because dogs yes. We lost some of our big goats out there through dogs. They came, just killed them and left them down there. So we are doing some fencing. We are doing upgrading of we have all the architectural plans ready for the upgrading of the AHA building. That's where the vets operate from. We're looking at things like the small ruminant pens, new 2 or 3 big ones, because we intend to bring a lot of new bloodlines into Saint Lucia. We are sourcing bloodlines all now. We got some recent quotations. It's just a matter of time before we bring them in. But before we bring them in, we have to ensure we have the pens, the holding pens for them. We're looking at some irrigation systems, and one of the things we are doing is Bosejo is going to be a model farm, and so we want to ensure we establish water systems, water cisterns out there. So we're building some big tanks and everything so to collect the water. So we have started. I wish we were much further, because now that the meat processing facility is almost completed, by now we should have had throughput ready. But we are a little tardy with that. But in the new financial year coming up, we have made a request to Ministry of Finance, and if our request is granted, you will see intensification of work up there in terms of getting the bloodlines in, building the new small ruminant pens, and starting a number of the irrigation systems and everything so for the station.
I know some monies were taken from that to pay the farmers on the field. So I hope you have paid all the farmers, Mr. P.S.
We have. In fact, I'm happy you brought that up. That's even slowed down progress over there, because that's one of the areas where we diverted funds from to assist our farmers, because there was no budget, there was no money in the estimates for assistance to farmers this year. But we were able to divert some of the funds, and that's what happens from time to time. We have to make a critical decision as to what is best for the interest of the nation, in the interest of our farmers. And so sometimes we have to stop a project so that we will get some other things achieved.
That's unforeseen.
Yeah, unforeseen. But all in all, I think I'm relatively happy with where we're going. I wish we could go a little faster though, but I think we're heading there. And I think by next year around this time, if you interview me around that same time, you will hear a totally different story. You will have seen much more going on. Yeah.
In 1 minute, Akoyol, dis-nous qui ça a fait et puis c'est Farmer Pool à Saint Lucia.
Well, nous jouons puis Farmer Pool à Saint Lucia lundi après-midi pour ça noter gouvernement te bail assistance pour Farmer Pool yo te en secours les prix à manger te monter so ministry a servi la yo pour l'autre bagaille pour ça aider Farmer Pool. Et là nous te commencement project ça nous te dit le temps fini à bout de décembre en janvier nous kay joindre puis pour qui manière bagaille ça travail si travail si pas travail qui ça nous a fait primaire et qui ça pour nous faire pour nous aller devant. So lundi là nous joindre farmer te bien content et puis te assistance la gouvernement bail si pas pour ça à chaque farmer te kay fini et puis bail pour ça tout bonnement cause the top là il pas assez là pour faire ça. So ça nous a fait à présent c'est nous a set up a committee cause nous des farmer seulement nous ça fait progrès aller devant c'est pour nous venir coyon c'est pour nous finir ensemble toutes femmes ensemble so yo généralement d'accord avec ça et pour raison ça là nous a apprêté un committee qui anime from broiler farmers layer farmers hatchers processors ministry tout qualité monde qui venir ensemble pas un gros committee donc qui ça ou ça bien mélangé et puis nous kay penser monde ça ensemble yon des jours nous kay continuer commencer discuter qui ça qui première manière pour nous ça conduire sector pool comme ça. So c'est là nous calé.
Well, Mr. P.S., I want to thank you for being on the program. We have come to the end of it. I wish you success, and I know with your zest, you're going to see something happen with the agricultural industry in its entirety as a whole. So people, I want to thank you for viewing the program, the Agriculture on the Move. We hope to see you here next week at the same time for another program. Until then, I'm Phillip Sydney saying goodbye and God bless.
Agriculture on the Move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the Move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the Move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the Move.
Agricole en mouvement.